Junowitz. I am so excited to be your host. This is my first wild show, as we call it around here, and we have a lot to unpack. So let's get started, shall we? Today is kind of a fair-themed show, you could say. We're going to take you live to two different fairs that are going on in our area this week and this weekend. First, we're going to take you up north a little bit to the Ozaukee County Fair. This is one of the oldest county fairs in the Midwest, and fun fact, it is one of the last remaining free fairs in the Midwest. So we're going to take you live to that event just to talk about, what's new this year at the fair and also potential weather impacts for this morning. As our meteorologists have been tracking, you probably just heard it on Wisconsin Weather Experts. We have been dealing with some storms earlier today. So we're going to see, how is the Ozaukee County Fair managing all of that. We're also going to take you to the Wisconsin State Fair. Yes, the best 11 days of summer start tomorrow. This event runs all the way until August 10th. This is the 174th year for the Wisconsin State Fair, if you can believe that. So we're going to talk to Tess Kirkson there to talk about, what's new this year. Of course, they are launching their brand new dairy building. Yes, the Cream Puffs have a new home this year, which is so exciting. So we'll talk to her about that. We'll talk Sporkies, Drinkies, dive into a little fair history as well. Talk about, how we got to this point. And then, of course, look ahead to the big 175 that is set for next year. Okay, so we're also going to talk about some hard news as well. Our Christina Van Zelst is following a really heartbreaking but important story out of Milwaukee. You might have heard about it on Wake Up or on our news last night. We know that one innocent person has died after a chase ended in a horrific crash on Brady Street. So we're going to talk to Christina. She's getting the latest information from police on this case. What happened here. As we all know, reckless driving is a huge story in the city of Milwaukee. So she is staying on top of that. And then to wrap things all up here at the end of our show, we're going to check in with Fox 6 weather expert Lisa Michaels to talk about your forecast, not just for the fair, but for really all of your weekend plans here. I know the summer weekends in Milwaukee are always super busy, so the weather is always important. Spoiler alert. If you're like me and the weather the past couple days has just been a little too hot for you, I think you're really going to like her forecast. Things are going to cool off quite a bit starting tomorrow. I also want to ask her as well about the tsunami situation, the concerns with that are going on after that unbelievable earthquake. I mean, we're talking one of the most significant earthquakes ever that struck off the coast of Russia. So we have lots to get to here in the next hour. Without further ado, I'm going to try to queue up our Fox 6 photojournalist, Jeff Frings. Jeff is not a regular reporter or anchor here at Fox 6, so you may not see his face, but I think you will recognize his voice. He has done traffic hits for us. Okay. He does traffic hits for us a lot during when we'll get like a significant snowstorm. He'll head out in our vehicle here and we'll kind of tell folks what's going on out there on the roads. Okay, so Jeff, can you hear me there? Oh, there's Jeff. He's stepping in front of the camera. Oh, there we go. I am so sorry, folks. Can you tell us my first day doing this? I got to pull up his audio so y'all can hear him. All right, Jeff, can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, and now our fabulous Wisconsin Live Desk viewers can hear you too. Hey, okay, so.
You don't usually see my face, you just hear my voice. And I can tell you that at the Ozaukee County Fair, there's a smattering of people out here. The weather is definitely not even fair, not ideal. It's raining. And the vendors are just starting to get set up, some of the food vendors. And I can tell you that the popular place so far this afternoon is the little burger place here because they have, as you can see, a canopy to stay out of the rain, or an overhang. I'm standing under the overhang at the corn, the roasted corn place. They've been nice enough to let me stand underneath their overhang. There's actually more people out here than I thought, considering the fact that it's been steadily raining out here for a good half hour. People have brought their umbrellas and decided to come out, and it's not horribly hard rain. It's kind of just a steady rain. So if you have an umbrella, you can check out some of the vendors, and they have different buildings that have different exhibits in them that you can go in. So there's things to do inside until the rain lets up.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's so funny you mentioned those awnings too, because first of all, like nobody wants a soggy burger or soggy cheese curds or really soggy anything, but also a lot of times, Jeff, when we do have these state fairs, they're super hot, right? It's the last week here for the month of July, and so those awnings also provide nice sun protection for folks waiting in line typically during the days of the fair. Okay, so you're at the Ozaukee County Fair, of course. You're giving us a scene setter here is what I'll call it. A lot of folks there out working. You know, Jeff, it never ceases to amaze me how rain or shine, these events go on as planned, right? Like the show must go on. A lot of these vendors have probably been set up here for a couple of days. Is that what you're kind of getting from here? Does it seem like people are still sort of ready for guests regardless of the conditions outside?
Yeah, I think they've been mostly ready, and they're just kind of putting the finishing touches. Right now, the roasted corn, they're putting their sign up. They said they were going to have their first ear corn was ready to come off pretty soon here, so they're ready. They could probably serve up corn right now if we had people who were stopping by to get some. I stopped to use their overhang, but yeah, they're. I was out here, I think it was last year or the year before, and about the same time on the opening day, and it was a sunny day, and believe it or not, there were about the same amount of people at this hour. But they're just kind of putting the finishing touches on. I think they've probably had a lot of stuff set up in the previous couple days, and now they're just kind of getting everything ready. I'm going to just pan around here and show you the Hawaiian shaved ice. They were just kind of getting some stuff ready. You can see kind of inside there.
Jeff, this is not the right live hit for me today. I'm starving. So looking at all this food, I can...
doing the last prep work.
I wish we had the smell-o-vision there. Yeah. No, they're ready for folks. And I do think that the weather will clear up today, certainly by tomorrow for sure. Jeff, I've just been doing a little digging here to give our viewers some history of the Ozaukee County Fair. I mentioned at the top of our show, did you know, Jeff, this is one of the last free fairs in the Midwest?
I did know that. I knew that because when I came out here, I don't know if am I in focus? Because I'm doing this by myself. But when I came
looks
out
like
here
that gentleman
year,
wants
the
to
year
talk
before,
to you. Oh, Jeff, you got a friend next to you.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Does he want to come
How
chat?
You taking pictures of sweet corn?
I'm taking pictures of the whole fair.
From here, this point only?
Well, from this point because I'm under the overhang. You have your own overhang.
Yeah, very bad overhang. I don't know where I'm going. If I keep going that way, what will happen? What will I see?
I'm not sure, but I'm told there are different pavilions.
This is so
down
funny.
that way.
Okay.
Jeff, you must look like you know what you're doing because folks are asking you for directions.
A fair. And I
Hey,
thought,
Jeff, do me a solid. Ask this.
I'll go to the fair, you know.
Hey, Jeff, can you ask this gentleman here what brought him out to the fair today?
What food I was looking for. Maybe.
Sure.
I think all like the rides and stuff are over there.
I don't need a ride either.
What brought you out to the fair in this terrible weather?
The rain.
The rain brought you out.
Yeah.
You wanted to come out in the rain.
I wanted to get a little moist. Thank you.
Oh, I like that guy. See, that's what we need.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily want to be on camera, but I just wanted to show you like how,
Oh.
you know, it's not, I'm not soaked, but it's definitely wet out.
No, this is like a forceful rain, Jeff. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
see it when the glasses
it's
it looks like
kind
you
of
just
a-
got out of the shower.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. It's kind of a gentle rain, but there are, a steady stream of a trickle, I would say, not a stream, but there are people coming in, and the free part, I didn't know about that until I came out here. It was either last year or the year before, and I just walked right in, and I was like, oh, it's free. Okay, that makes it easier to get in. I don't need a credential or anything. But yeah, so apparently that's a nice touch. That maybe is one of the reasons why people are coming out, even though it's raining out.
I mean, honestly, I can't think of a better thing to do, Jeff, to like take the kids.
Okay.
A lot of kids are still on, or most kids, all kids, I would argue, are probably still on summer break right now.
Do
And I
you
think
wanna
for
do it?
parents,
Oh, okay.
they get to a point here. Jeff, I'm going to bring your mic down here for a second. It sounds like you're talking to somebody. You would think here that would be a great option, a nice, fun summer afternoon activity to take the kids, take the family, because again, it is free, and there are, I feel like, few options for that these days. Okay, Jeff, I'm going to bring you right back here. Were you able to get an interview with somebody, or you're chatting with somebody?
I was chatting with somebody from the fair board, and they wanted to know if I was out here, the person that they had talked to. And so I could try and arrange an interview with somebody from the fair, but she wasn't
don't worry
the one
about
that
it.
could do the interview. Otherwise, I was going to grab her.
Oh, you are so kind. Well, right now, I just want to give our friends at home some fun little tidbits, if I can, about the Ozaukee County Fair. So this fair has been going on, guys, since 1859. They've been offering residents and visitors great traditional fair entertainment. They've got live music. They've got truck and tractor pulls. They've got a full midway. They've got fireworks. Those are tonight. They've got demolition derbies. Never done that. Always wanted to. Horse shows, contests, 4-H and livestock exhibitions and judging. They got plenty of stuff for kids too. So much happening. Yeah, so tonight is the fireworks show. Looks spectacular. Tomorrow, or today and tomorrow, they've got the tractor and truck pulls. Friday and Saturday marks the Grand Motor Crash LLC Demolition Derby. And then there's the car show on Sunday to wrap things up over the weekend. So there's a lot going on here. Now, people who do want to take in food will have to, or special entertainment, you do have to buy a ticket. I'm seeing here for the truck and tractor pull and the demo derby. I'm just curious as to what the tickets are priced at. Let's take a look at that. Okay, they're super affordable.
While you're looking that up, Nicole,
please go ahead.
Nicole, I'll just tell you, I'm looking around, and there's gyros, cheese curds, turkey legs, blooming onion, onion strings, lemonade. Let's see, what do we have here? Oh, more cheese curds, mozzarella sticks, corn dogs. So.
Oh wait, there's veggies. There's veggies on that menu you just showed us. I think they're beer battered though.
I've never seen veggies. Yeah, I would think. Yeah, beer battered veggies. Yeah, so all the regular fare, if you will. And the burger place looks pretty good. I've seen some of the burgers coming out of there, and they've looked pretty good.
Oh my gosh, my stomach is grumbling so hard right now, Jeff.
So I know. I did that on purpose just because you said that earlier.
No, you're funny. Okay, so I just figured this out. If you want to go to the truck and tractor pull today or tomorrow, tickets are super affordable for an adult, and that's people 13 years of age and older. $13.75. Kids ages 3 to 12 are $7.50. I feel like that's highly reasonable. That's for today and tomorrow.
Today would probably be a good day to do the tractor pull because there's probably going to be an awful lot of mud flying.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that would definitely help. Jeff, thank you so much for getting your glasses wet to show our listeners the sights and sounds of the Ozaukee County Fair. You know, I've got to say, despite how challenging the weather has been this morning, I'm impressed by this turnout. I know it's not a lot, but it just kind of goes to show how much bigger things are going to get into the afternoon and into the evening as things clear up here for the weekend.
Yeah, it's a much better turnout than I would have expected given the fact that it's been raining for about an hour.
All right, Jeff, you're the best. Thank you so much for your time. You always do, for not being one of our technically on camera people, you always do such an excellent job. And I've always said that Jeff, I think, has just the best voice. Like, you should have done radio. I bet you get that all the time, though.
That's the first time I've heard that, believe it or not.
Well, there we go. Jeff, you're the best. Thank you so much. All right, guys, you just heard there and saw a little bit photojournalist Jeff Frings extraordinaire taking us live to the Ozaukee County Fair, which kicks off today and goes throughout the weekend here. So, and again, that is one of the last free fairs in the Midwest, so you can't beat that. Okay, we got plenty coming up for you next. I think on deck we've got our Christina Van Zelst next. She's going to be checking in with us. We're kind of changing gears here. I don't want to make such a hard left, but we're going to go to some harder news of the day. We're going to talk about a really horrific chase that ended up in a crash on Humboldt and Brady on Milwaukee's east side. It happened last night around 9:30 p.m. She's going to give us the latest here. We do know that one innocent person died. We also know that a suspect has been arrested. So she's going to tell us, hopefully what this person was being chased for. We understand that it was reckless driving, but what exactly does that mean? And also, this victim here, what are we learning about this individual whose life was taken so tragically and so suddenly and so unjustly? Okay, so that does it for the first portion here of your Wisconsin Live Desk. We are
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Okay, so now we're going to dive into some harder news here of your day, a story that one of our fabulous reporters is following. Our Christina Van Zelst has been following a really tragic police chase that ended in a deadly crash. This is over on Milwaukee's east side near Humboldt and Brady. She's joining us now live. She's been following this story for us all morning long, and she's going to be also working on this for our evening newscast as well. Christina, can you hear me?
Do you have me?
I sure do. Okay, hi. So first, tell our viewers, what happened last night?
Yeah, this is just a tragic story out of the Brady Street area today. We know Milwaukee police say that around 9:20 last night, there was a crash that ended. I want to show you kind of what's left behind here. You can see some orange markings in the street there. So a crash ended kind of right up next to the bakery. It all started after a pursuit, actually, that happened about a mile and a half away from here near Teutonia. So just to give you the backstory, police saw somebody recklessly driving. They attempted to pull them over, again, about a mile and a half away from here, and that driver then took off. That started a police chase, which ultimately ended here on Brady Street and Humboldt Avenue. And unfortunately, in that chase, the suspect hit another driver, another person in their car, a 29-year-old who ultimately passed away. And that 22-year-old driver who police were chasing was arrested and taken to the hospital. So definitely a somber day out here on Brady Street today. Police chase ending in somebody innocent dying that was in their car, again, here on Brady Street. Nicola, one thing that we heard from some business owners in this area is that this street, they're surprised that police pursued somebody and had a chase in this area, because this is a place where businesses are open late at night. There's a lot of traffic here on Brady Street, and so there is definitely some mixed opinions on how that chase ended and why police were chasing somebody in such a dense neighborhood, but then you hear from other people who are in support of these chases. So it's just a really somber day out here. We are hoping to get some video. If you look, we talked to this Soul Salvation store across the street, and they had, so we are waiting for the video from that. But that's where things are at so today.
All right, Christina. Yeah. You know, you raised such important points here because I know. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hit a wrong button here, Christina. Please forgive me. There we go. Okay. So often, you know, you talk to people, and we talk a lot about pedestrian safety on Brady Street, and we also talk about reckless driving. So it's tough because I can imagine for law enforcement, because, you know, they're sort of doing what the community wants and that they're trying to crack down on reckless driving. But at the same time, you know, at what cost, right? So what are your thoughts on that in terms of kind of what you're hearing from police and just the community?
That's definitely what we're hearing out here, is just that criticism on both sides. It's almost like a lose-lose, it seems, because no matter what happens, it seems like there's criticism, right? If police aren't chasing somebody, then there's people who think, oh, well, then people are going to just take advantage of that. But then you have pursuits that end, chases that end in crashes like this where somebody innocent dies. So I don't really know. People don't have necessarily a solution besides the simple, everybody should just follow the law.
No.
And if you'll remember too, Nicola, Brady Street has been a focus of a lot of conversations specifically about pedestrian safety. They've added some new signage and a lot of bump outs the further down Brady Street that you go. But when it comes to safety and driving and pedestrians on this street, that's nothing new when it comes to people who work here, frequent the businesses here. But again, just a tragic situation where you have a 29-year-old who was in their car and just happened to hit by that driver. So I don't know if people have a solution for it, but it's definitely something people are talking about, and I've seen opinions on both sides there.
No, it makes sense, right? Because it's a challenging situation. Reckless driving, as we know, is a tough. It's tough to enforce it, right? I know that the city has tried a bunch of different measures, like, you know, impounding vehicles where there's reckless driving offenses on them, right? Like that was a controversial one. But then too, I think it's something that so many of us have experienced driving around the streets of Milwaukee. I know for me personally, one time I was actually driving not too far away from where you're at right now, Christina. I was at Brady and Farwell, and somebody just came speeding behind me. I was stopped at the light, and they almost took my mirror off the side of my car, almost to sideswipe me. It was really scary and really startling, and it's hard not to think, oh my gosh, if I was just a few feet over, or, you know, like you could be that person, you could be that driver, that innocent driver who was killed last night. So certainly a challenging situation overall. I do want to ask you as well, it seems like things are pretty cleaned up out there. Earlier this morning, though, on Wake Up, we were showing scene video from last night, and my gosh, Christina, like this scene video was gnarly in terms of the destruction and the damage that was left behind. I see that one cone there. Is there anything else in that area that people who maybe travel Brady Street should be aware of?
No, honestly, it's pretty cleared up. Just the cone is what's left behind, and then you can see the orange markings of the where the direction of the vehicles. But if you didn't tune in this or know anything that would give a clue that there was a fatal crash here last night, and we did ask the bakery there if their video caught anything, and they didn't want to comment and said that their cameras did not catch that video. But if you hadn't seen it, the two cars pretty much ended up right where that cone is on that bigger, like wider sidewalk area.
Yep,
so
I see it.
There's really no remnants of any vehicles here. It's all cleared up at this time.
All right, Christina, you always do such an excellent job getting all of these questions answered. I understand you were following the story for our news today and this evening. What are you hoping to get here? What questions are you hoping to have answered for our viewers, and what elements are you trying to get for us? Just walk us through your process, I guess.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, you know, when we got out here, just talking to the business owners in this area. Did they see anything? We're standing under the one of the restaurants right here, Shawarma House, Shawarma Palace, and they're open late. So we wanted to know, did you guys hear anything? Did your cameras catch anything? So one thing, like I said, we're hoping to get the video from the business behind us to just give a better look at where the chase came from, how fast maybe they were going. Obviously want to be sensitive to the person who lost their life in this, but and then just asking people what their thoughts are, their reactions, if there's any solutions maybe they have to bring to the city when it comes to reckless driving and police chases. So we'll have some interviews with some of the business owners about what they've seen and how they were shocked to hear there was a chase in this area, because again, it is an area known for nightlife. This happened again just after 9:20 last night. So a community reaction is the main thing we're looking for today, and hopefully we'll learn more about that person who also died in this crash, and if there's anything we can do to help that family.
All right, Christina, thank you so much for being so generous with your time with us today. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing your stories on our evening shows tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that was our Christina Van Zelst reporting live for us on the Wisconsin Live Desk from Brady Street. You can see she was right at the corner of where this chase came to a tragic end last night. It ended in a crash that happened right outside of that Peter Scortino bakery. If you live in the Brady Street area, you know that it is always packed, whether it's at night, during the day. At night, you've got obviously a huge nightlife crowd there. You've got a lot of bars and restaurants, and there's always just a really fun kind of bustling vibe and activity going on there. But during the day, you see folks who are just, picking up some lunch at Glorioso's or headed out to grab something at one of the local markets there or one of the local shops there on Brady Street. So really an important part of our community, and I look forward to seeing Christina's report on what she's able to get with all of this. Okay, so now we're going to head to a quick break once again, and when we come back, I certainly hope to have our Tess Kirkson from the Wisconsin State Fair joining us live to talk to us about all of the preparations, all of the work that goes into this massive 11-day event that kicks off tomorrow morning. Fox 6 Wake Up News and Real Milwaukee, and our evening news shows as well. Super proud to be broadcasting live all day long from the ground. So we can't wait to preview all of that for you. We're going to talk to Tess. She will tell you that they work on the following year's fair, basically the day after the current year's fair wraps up. So these are events that are months in the making. So I can't wait to hear all the new and exciting things that are going on with Tess. She's certainly a friend of this show and a friend of the station. So, okay, without further ado, we are
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. My name is Nicola Junowitz for folks at home who are just joining us. Okay, I am so excited for this next interview. We've got Tess Kirkson from the Wisconsin State Fair joining us now live to talk about the 174th event, which kicks off tomorrow morning. We're all so excited. I don't know about you all, but for me, this is an event that I look forward to all year round. So we are so grateful that Tess was able to make time in her unbelievably busy schedule to join us. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, meet Tess Kirkson from the Wisconsin State Fair, a friend to the station and the show. You've probably seen her. I feel like you're a regular at this point, Tess.
There's a lot to talk about when it comes to State Fair. And of course, we've got to get it all out there for all the Fox 6 viewers because there's a lot to get through.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so I have to ask you, as somebody who is involved in this event all year long, how do you feel today? Is it like Christmas morning? Walk me through. Is it a little bit more stressy than that?
It's a little bit more stressful than Christmas morning, but tomorrow will be Christmas morning. This is the Christmas Eve wrapping presents in the middle of the night for all your favorite friends and family. That is where we're at right now. We had a little bit of rain this morning too, but of course we are out there getting the grounds ready, and truthfully the rain kind of helped us wash away what we needed to, and we're so excited to open the gates back up again tomorrow morning. It's incredible that it's here again, and just like you said, this is our 174th Wisconsin State Fair. We're so incredibly proud of that, and next year we're really going to go big with 175 too.
Oh my gosh, I'm already looking forward to that, but we got to get through 174 first. Okay, so walk us through. I know obviously there's so many things that are traditional about the Wisconsin State Fair, right? We've got the agriculture that's always amazing. Every year you guys do such a great job bringing in a diverse array of entertainment. You also, of course, there's always new foods, but there's also food, old favorites, stops that people have to make every time they visit the grounds. Wanted to talk to you about what's new this year. For folks who have been to this fair, let's say for 15 years running, what can they expect tomorrow that they haven't seen before?
Well, first off, to those fairgoers who have been coming for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years that we've seen, our hearts go out to you. We love you. Thank you for continuing to come to Wisconsin's biggest event, the Wisconsin State Fair. It helps us not only celebrate our state, but it also helps with economic impact in this area. And of course, all the out-of-state visitors that this event brings in. So this is an incredibly important event, not just to us at Wisconsin State Fair Park, but for the state as a whole. And it really celebrates everything that's so amazing about Wisconsin. We were recently in the running for USA Today's 10 Best. We're still waiting to hear those results. But I mean, just being in the running alone was an honor for being a best fair. And so we just want to keep that economic engine of Wisconsin moving and grooving, if you will, and celebrate agriculture too in such a unique way. And that's what state fairs are really about. So we have to thank those fairgoers too. And as we come into this year, though, to turn to the food, our star here at Wisconsin State Fair, we have so many options. We have a ton of new vendors actually this year from the food side that we're really excited about. One that's getting some great talk from our other fair friends is the sirloin tips. That is going to be in our new big backyard area, or our new, actually, an improved big backyard area now called the Back 40. We're really excited about that vendor, but also so many others that just made Sporky's finalists and Drinky's finalists. And of course, yesterday we just revealed our top Sporky and Drinky. So from Lumpia City, we had the Ube Butter Banana French Toast Lumpia. Say that a few times.
Oh my gosh.
It is an incredible, incredible dish. Was lucky enough to get a one bite of it yesterday during judging, and it's absolutely fantastic. And working with Lumpia City too has been incredible. They are a small business, came into the fair I think only 3 years ago, maybe 4. And have just impacted us so greatly, have brought incredible dishes and a great variety of food item too, adding to our whole list at the fair with a traditional Filipino dish, which is lumpia. So we're really proud of that, and really proud of them to take home that top spot for Sporky's. It's a hard thing to do. And then topping that out too, we have our Drinky, and our drink this year is the Purple Rain Refresher, which is going to be over in the Rock and Roll Beer Garden, which again is in that back 40 area. Imagine this space. It's a little bit different. Typically you see straight lines going down kind of those fair midways, if you will, those traditional walking paths. We've really taken the design, we've added angles into it. So it might catch you up a little bit that you're going, okay, what is this kind of curated area? It's got lights, it's got so many food and beverage vendors and shopping vendors too. So it's really going to be like more of an expansive experience where you can sit, relax, grab a drink from a few different vendors. And Rock and Roll Beer Garden is going to be one of those new vendors. And we're just so excited to not only be welcoming them into that space of the back 40, but to really be elaborating on that space. And let me tell you too, that picture does not do that drink justice. It not only has edible glitter, it also has pop rocks in it. And those things with the carbonation, they pop out of that drink. So we're really, really excited to have that one, along with so many other new food items. I think there was close to 100, about 96 new food items coming to Wisconsin State Fair this year.
Oh my gosh, I'm like looking at that picture and you can kind of see, you're right, there's like a little bit of effervescence with it, but to actually get the full impact of the glitter, I do think you need to drink it and see it in person. I like edible glitter. I think that it's like you don't taste it, but it just makes the drink feel more festive. It almost adds like a bit of a bubbly kind of a texture to it, which is really fun. So yeah, I'm all in on the on both of these items. And I also wanted to talk to you too, Tess, about just, lumpia city, as you mentioned, that is lumpias are a Filipino dish. Can you talk about just how you've seen the food get more diverse culturally at the Wisconsin State Fair over the years? Because I feel like when people think about State Fair food, they think about, I don't know, traditional American fare. But you guys have really something for everybody.
Absolutely, and that's our biggest goal. And so we really look at the diversity of our food options everywhere. And we're lucky enough to be one of those top fairs in the country that can really cherry pick the best vendors throughout the entire U.S. and sometimes beyond. To really make sure we're bringing the best options for our fairgoers. So some fairs you might see, okay, we got a lot of corn dog vendors. Well, we make sure strategically that those are placed, that if there are duplicates in any way, you can get a corn dog at two places, that they have some breadth between them and they're not just right next to each other. And we're constantly looking to ensure that we're getting diverse food options, new food options, innovative food options. And then on top of that, once those categories are really checked off, it's a stress test, essentially. So we have to make sure that these vendors can be prepared to crank through food that will help support the 1 million people that are likely to come to each fair that we host. That is the most critical portion. If they can't keep up, unfortunately, that's a game changer for us. We have to have that. Because we know how important this time is for our fairgoers, how precious it is, those 11 days of State Fair. We can't have super long lines. So we try our best to, especially with new vendors, prepare them for what's ahead in those 11 days, because it's a can't miss for us.
Well, that's so funny you raise that, because that's such an important point, right? Like, you may run a phenomenal food truck somewhere that does a killing, downtown Bayview on a Saturday night, but the State Fair, to your point, is a totally different animal.
Absolutely. And it's one thing too that, especially for our Sporkies winners, we have a great conversation with them after they win. Think it's maybe a little bit, they're intimidated after they get this big win. We sit down with them and go, what are your portions? What are you prepared for? How are you going to execute this? Because you are about to be incredibly popular. And so Lumpia City obviously is a veteran of that. They've been a Sporkies finalist before, so they were ready and those conversations were had, and they're very excited. As well as the owners of Rock and Roll Beer Garden too. They are ready to go. While they look kind of like a new vendor, they also have operated here at State Fair Park before with the Bud Pavilion too. So they are veterans here. They know what they're doing and they know how to crank out with speed to make sure they're getting the best product out there and having the best customer experience too for these fairgoers.
That's why I'm so grateful you're coming on this show and we can have this time to talk, Tess, because that's something I never would have thought of, truly, in terms of the selection process. Like, hey, that's a conversation. Can you handle what's about to happen to you, because things are about to get real?
Absolutely. It's a lot on these vendors, but they are here because it's in their blood. It is a job of passion, and they love it here. They love the energy. And I mean, I have to say that myself. That's how I got into all this. You love the energy of the 11 days of State Fair. And of course, not many people know this about me, but I'm not a born Wisconsinite. I came up here but it's truly by choice. I love this state. And so to be able to represent this state in this way is so special to me and something I choose to do every day. And I see that in our vendors, our fairgoers, our partners. I see it in all of that.
Oh my gosh, and you do such a wonderful job. You would never know that you're not originally from here because you take to it so well.
I love it. I love it.
And we're so happy to have you. I guess I can't say that either. I'm from Illinois too, but anyways.
Hey, we choose our best states. So we have so much to be proud of here in Wisconsin. And of course too, if you're looking for those Wisconsin niche products, foods, sellers, all of those things, Wisconsin Products Pavilion is where to head. It's an air-conditioned building, which is always wonderful. Of course, we have our cranberry growers in there. We have a shake shop. We have so many Wisconsin vendors in there, and we need to show them support and help them. And it's just so amazing to see all that this state has to offer, Milwaukee and beyond.
Oh, for sure. So now I've got it, since I've gotten your kind of behind the scenes information on the food, I wanted to talk to you about how you all go about selecting and attaining the phenomenal acts that you're able to get on that Bank 5-9 main stage. Because, I mean, Tess, like, I'm looking at the lineup here, Boys to Men, Neo, you've got We the Kingdom, John Party, Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias, Darius Rucker with Uncle Cracker, Leonard Skinner. I mean, like, when does that process start for you, and how do you go about choosing acts?
Yes, that process has already started. I think we have a couple confirmations in. Now I'm knocking on wood. You never know what's going to happen. And we'll announce those exclusively on Fox 6 months from now when it's bitter cold. But we start that process well in advance. The routing process behind that is very intricate, depending on who's touring, when they're touring, where they're touring. Are they in another market that's close by, and so we can't compete with that? There are so many intricacies behind routing acts like that, and then finding the right fits for something like State Fair, where it's 11 days and you need to kind of tick off every genre on your list. It's a very interesting process and takes a long time. But I think we're getting close to a really great mix here and perfecting it, again, with some of those names like Boys to Men, Neo, of course. We're so excited about the Neo show. He has so many hits. Then we can pivot to things like people like Darius Rucker or acts like Leonard Skinner. I mean, crazy. Leonard Skinner is Sweet Home Alabama. I mean, to have them here at Wisconsin State Fair is just so cool. And so always looking to step that up. And of course now too, Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias. Now that show was rained out last year, which is such a rarity for us. So to be able to bring that one back was really special for us and our fairgoers, of course, who are just so excited to see that. And yeah, now we go from beyond music acts into comedy acts as well.
Which is phenomenal. Just really something for everybody. I got to tell you though, Tess, I'm looking right now at the ranges for the ticket prices. I mean, for Neo, $67 to $88. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Like, what does it mean
Absolutely.
to you in the State Fair to bring this world-class talent to people at, quite frankly, a highly affordable price?
Yes, and we talk about this all the time, is sometimes the prices are the prices of what we've negotiated with acts, or even on our ticket side, just how this has fallen for us, but and current economic factors, all of that. But now when it turns to the staff, it turns to the team, it's how can we pack as much value as possible into that ticket? So when you're looking at a main stage ticket, you're also including your State Fair admission within that. So you can take that out of there. And we're just wanting to make sure that your day here can be packed with value. We also understand that when you come here, you have to buy food, buy drinks, maybe you're buying souvenirs. We understand that whole ecosystem when you're coming here, that it's more than just the ticket price. And we need to make sure we're packing that with family-friendly options truly for everyone, but to really pack in as much in one day as possible with a value-driven mindset.
Oh, and it's just it's really a service to the state that you all do this. Okay, so now turning from one kind of entertainment to really my favorite kind of entertainment at the State Fair. I like going and looking at the animals because I'm a city girl. I did not grow up around, agriculture. And so I think it is just so fascinating to see the 4-H kids who just are so good with these animals, and they're just, it's just really cool, Tess. So talk to me about that. What can people expect tomorrow in terms of how do you rotate the barns and get the animals in and out? Walk us through that.
Absolutely. Coming to State Fair to see animals is crucial. It's what it's about. It started with agriculture, and that's where it's always going to be rooted in. We have so many animals that come in and out of Wisconsin State Fair Park during this time. They are already, some of them, loaded in for this first day tomorrow. We've got dairy cows. We actually have the largest junior dairy exhibition in the country here at Wisconsin State Fair. It's very exciting. It's very competitive. And these exhibitors are top tier from the whole state that have competed at their local county fairs to get to this point. And then we're lucky enough too, we have Clydesdales here. So it's so fun to turn into the fair park on these days to get ready for early morning interviews. And you see these incredible animals and their owners and their exhibitors, and how proud they are to have made it this far to State Fair as kind of the ultimate cherry on top. But it is so much fun. It is great for the community to really see agriculture at its core, where your food comes from, farm to table efforts, what the agriculture and farming industry, from our commodities too, we are huge cranberry growers, as well as ginseng. We are one of the largest ginseng producers, Wisconsin, in the world. And people don't really realize how many ginseng farmers there are in Wisconsin. So there are so many connection moments like that. And I encourage everyone when they're here at the fair to go to our Discovery Barnyard with Compeer Financial. It is a fantastic place to learn about all this, as well as Dairy Lane, which will show you all about dairy products. And there's an exhibit as well in the dairy building now in relation to all of that. And so those education moments are really what's at our core. And then we kind of mask them almost in this fun, but really we're making sure you're getting those educational moments along the way.
Oh my gosh, Tess Kirkson from the Wisconsin State Fair. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time this afternoon. I can't wait to see you tomorrow on Christmas morning on the day. Good luck with everything today. You won't need it. You're a pro.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. Let's get ready for State Fair.
I will see you tomorrow. Sleep well tonight. I think we're both gonna, well, especially you, but we're both gonna need a good night of rest here. You're the best.
Absolutely. Thanks.
I'll see you tomorrow. Oh my gosh, she's just the best. All right. So now we're going to take another quick break here. When we come back, we've got our Lisa Michaels, our weather expert, joining us live to break down what kind of weather you can expect for the opening weekend for the Wisconsin State Fair. And I can imagine that those folks up at the Ozaukee County Fair also cannot wait for things to improve a little bit tomorrow as well. So we are going to head to a super quick
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So we are now going to head out to New York City, which, as you might have heard, is still reeling, still mourning from a horrific shooting that happened inside of a corporate building on Park Avenue. This happened in Midtown Manhattan. We know that a suspect, walked into that building and shot a 36-year-old New York police officer. That officer sadly died. We also know that 3 other people were killed as well in that attack. We also know that several others were wounded, including somebody who, people who worked for different corporations, different companies that were housed in that building. Most notably, the NFL headquarters were there. There has since been reason to believe that the suspect in this case here was targeting the NFL headquarters. He said in a suicide note that he allegedly left that was found on his person that he suffered from CTE, which folks know has been tied to football playing and athletes. But again, there are still a lot of questions that are surrounding how this happened, why this happened, and several lawmakers are also kind of weighing in on how we can prevent future tragedies like this from happening. So, all right, I'm going to send it out now to a news conference that is being hosted by Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani. He actually was just in Uganda, but he came back early to New York. My understanding is that he met with the family of that New York police officer who was killed on Monday night. His name is Adidrul Islam. He apparently spent about an hour with his family in the Bronx and talked to them about, you can imagine just the, how much they're suffering following this completely senseless violence. So I'm going to pull this up here. Again, this is a news conference that is going on right now in New York City. Let's take a listen here if we can.
A city that we love and care, but also to dispel the misconception that you are a Muslim and there is somehow a connection to terrorism. So after several years, we decided, I called my friends to open up the Bangladeshi American Police Association. And our goal was threefold. One is to increase number of Bangladeshis to NYPD. Second was to help them go up the ranks. And the third is to bridge between the Bangladeshi American community and the police department. But since then, the Bangladeshi community has grown in the NYPD. More families have encouraged their sons and daughters to join. And they have felt pride watching their children to serve New York City as a police officer. But today, that pride is somewhat overwhelmed by pain. This brutal loss has shaken us to the core. It is just not a tragedy for the police officer's Islam's wife, his children, and his family, but it is a tragedy for all of us, for all fellow officers, for all our community. We'll never forget Officer Islam's bravery, his service, and his sacrifice. His memory will live on in our hearts and in our community and NYPD. May Allah grant him highest place in Jannah, and we'll all carry forward his legacy, his honor, and with unity and with love. Thank you very much.
And so first I would just say, Zoran, thank you again for coming to meet with Mr. Etienne's family today, and with that I will turn it over to you.
I want to thank Manny, and 32BJ for having us here today and for allowing me the opportunity to convey my heartfelt condolences to Alan's family, who we heard from just earlier. I want to thank retired Lieutenant Shamsul Haq, who co-founded the Bangladeshi American Police Association, of which Officer Islam was a member. I landed back in New York City this morning and went directly to the home of Officer Islam, where I met with members of his family, young and old, who are heartbroken over the loss of their son, of their brother, their father, their husband, their friend, heartbroken in a way that words cannot fully describe. And as we spent close to an hour together, there were moments that stayed with me. Moments like when Officer Islam's sisters asked me, "Who will we call Bhaiya now?" Moments like when his brother-in-law told me of how it was Officer Islam that brought him to this country, that took him to get his first learner's permit, that got him his first job working at a restaurant in Union Square, where they would speak together every single day. And when he told me that for him, Officer Islam was an open door, and now that door would be forever closed. And I know that in the way in which that home is shattered, the way in which it is quieter and emptier than ever before, there are other homes across this city experiencing that same kind of loss. Other homes where families are asking themselves questions for which there are no answers. And while we grieve the loss and the murder of 4 New Yorkers, we know that there are others recuperating now in hospital.
Okay, you are listening live there to New York City Democratic mayoral nominee Zoran Mamdani, who was speaking out about the horrific, deadly shooting that happened in Midtown Manhattan earlier this week. It took the lives of 4 people, including a New York police officer. Important to note here, just to provide some context here to this story, that in the past, Mamdani has spoken pretty openly about his plans, if elected, to defund the police. But now he is certainly singing a different tune on this. Back in June 8th of 2020, for example, Mamdani had said, no, we want to defund the police. That is what he was calling for. So now he's saying that if he's elected, he would work with the police because he believes that police have a critical role to play in public service and in public safety. That was during a mayoral debate that happened during his primary there. So, okay, that is a live look at New York. Now we are going to go a lot closer to home here to our Fox 6 weather expert, Lisa Michaels. She's joining us now live in the weather office to talk about another really big news story, Lisa, that happened overnight. We're talking about this massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake that happened off the coast of Russia. Walk our listeners and viewers here through what happened.
Yeah, so I actually stayed up till about midnight to make sure I'm following this very closely. It is a big event, and for those who are just catching up with what has occurred, Nicola just said it. We had a 8.8 magnitude earthquake that occurred off the coast of Russia. Now, you may be thinking, well, that's quite a ways away. What does that have to do with us here in the United States? Well, a lot, because what earthquakes do is it is a shifting of the plates underneath the ocean. When we have something moving under the ocean, that then creates a ripple effect. So the movement then starts to cause the ocean to move, creating a tsunami potentially across portions of the globe. Because of that earthquake, we have majority of the areas extending outward from that, just the open waters. And so what has occurred then, the ripples of the ocean started to bubble up in a sense because it was such a strong earthquake, and that then started to head towards areas like Hawaii. That then created the threat for tsunamis in Alaska all the way through the entire west coast of the United States yesterday. This was a really big thing. All of Hawaii was under a tsunami warning last night, and now it's only under a tsunami advisory. But you may be seeing social media videos, things of sirens going off in Hawaii, lots of traffic as people were very, very in a hurry to get to elevated ground rather than being closer to the low-level areas around the shoreline. So, of course, on an island, the only place you can go is inland and up, and that's what a lot of people did. Now, thankfully, because the big threat of the tsunami warning has now gone away, we still have the advisory, but again, surrounding areas, especially along the beaches, still going to be dangerous to swim, still going to be dangerous to do any kind of boating. The tsunami itself is not necessarily one big wave that comes through and that's it. It actually can be a series of waves that could start off smaller, then get bigger and smaller again. So these oscillating waves are going to change in height. Over the ocean, where we have sensors and buoys, that can estimate how big some of the waves are, but we really don't know how big that tsunami is until it can actually ride inland over land. Then we start to measure how high is that water above sea level once it gets closer to the perimeter of land. So again, it's a very unique thing. We are still watching, again, the tsunami warning or the tsunami advisory for Hawaii, and we're continuing to watch some areas along the coastlines here for dealing with advisories. Could again be a little bit less than that as we are heading through the upcoming hours, but it's a big story all the way from what occurred in Russia. It actually, in fact, was one of the top strongest earthquakes recorded by the USGS. Notice some of these other ones that occurred in Chile, Alaska, Japan, Russia. Those were in the 9 category magnitude earthquakes, but we weren't far behind it, 8.8 magnitude. So yes, there has been a handful of 8.8 magnitude earthquakes stretching from 1906 to 2010 and now 2025. So a big event in history. We haven't heard much in terms of fatalities yet, thankfully. Hopefully that's not going to be the case, but I have seen a lot of videos of things like buildings shaking. There has been some structural damage I've seen, as well as objects inside of people's homes just falling right off something like their shelves. So it's a big event. Thankfully, at least we are lowering some of the warnings and advisories, but Nicola, it certainly shook not only portions way west of us, but also here at home.
All right, Lisa, thank you so much for your expertise, as always, diving into the history of this. You know, this is so impactful. I mean, 8.8, this is something that we've truly not seen in decades. So thank you so much for breaking down just how important this news event was overnight and for the people in the communities that are impacted by this.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we'll see you tonight at 4 p.m. Thank you so much. All right, so now we're actually going to send it. Lisa, thank you so much. So now what we're going to do is we are going to send it back over to New York City. That is where Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani is speaking right now about that deadly shooting that happened in Midtown Manhattan earlier this week. We know that 1 police officer and 4 civilians were killed in that attack. The suspect here also turned the gun on himself as well. So now he is addressing that, again, as somebody who hopes to be the next leader of New York. Let's take a listen in here if we can.
The members of that unit to respond to protests, as opposed to what was the stated reason, is a decision that has led to the violation of a number of New Yorkers' civil rights. And it's a decision that has been the basis of my critique of the use of the group towards that end. And what I would also say in this moment is that it is beyond me that politicians are looking to use these days to score such cynical political points on the very day that I held the father of Officer Islam in my arms as he could not utter a single word, and as I felt him sobbing at the memory of his 36-year-old son who will never come home. To visit that family, to meet those children, to understand what this man meant to so many, and to hear from his brother-in-law that today was the day that they had timed their vacation together so that they could visit a water park in New Jersey. And that the brother-in-law's children knew they were supposed to go, Officer Islam's children knew they were supposed to go, and yet they were at home mourning a father who will never return. This is a time to honor those memories. This is a time to lead this city in coming together, not a moment to try and score the very points that turn so many New Yorkers away from politics.
I'm Mr. Muppet.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that you're coming back to this, as we all are.
Thank you.
I was actually just with former Governor Cuomo, and he was asked specifically, about a statement I believe you already made a day or two ago, that cheap political points, which you just said should not be scored in a moment like this. And he said effectively, if he doesn't like it, perhaps he should retract some of the words he has said previously, talking about police being racist or anti-LGBTQ, or that they should be defunded or dismantled. So this is a little bit of what Marcia asked, but as you've grown and reflected, and I feel, in fairness to you, you've been good about talking about growing and reflecting and always having conversations. Do you wish you hadn't said some of those things a few years back?
My statements in 2020 were ones made amidst a frustration that many New Yorkers held at the murder of George Floyd and the inability to deliver on what Eric Adams, of all people, described as the right for all of us to be able to enjoy safety and justice, that we need not choose between the two. I know that Governor Cuomo is far more comfortable in the past, whether it be his own or whether it be in attacking me for tweets made before I was even an assembly member. What I have said time and time again is the campaign that I am leading, the campaign that I am asking New Yorkers to consider, is one that has been clear on its public safety approach. It's one that speaks about a desire to work with police officers. And what has been quite frustrating to me has been the inability of so many, including the former governor, to reckon with the crisis we face in this moment, where 200 officers are leaving the department every month. A leading cause of this is forced overtime. And all they have to offer, they being these politicians of the past, are the same ideas they put forward years ago. What I am speaking of is a vision that will not only address public safety, but also keep officers in this very police department, will ensure that they can actually respond to the crimes that are being committed in this city. Because as we've seen in the first quarter of this year, we were only able to resolve 35% of all of those crimes that were reported. And part of that is a reflection of asking officers to do nearly every single thing we can think of. And so I'm proud of the public safety platform we've put together. And I would say that for the former governor to have spent an entire day speaking almost exclusively about me and barely about the New Yorkers who have been killed is indicative of the very politics New Yorkers want to leave in the past. We want to honor the New Yorkers who have been taken from us far too soon. We want to know their stories. They are not merely statistics. We want to know of their smiles, their hopes, their dreams. And yet here we have a former governor calling every reporter he can find to speak about tweets. What kind of leadership is that?
Hi,
Hi,
Zona.
Melissa.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I want to ask you actually to tell us a little bit about your trip, but first, if possible, you've said that people need to come together, and this is obviously in the same vein as Henry and Marcia's questions, but you're saying that people need to come together. Do you bear some of the responsibility for having said such negative things about the NYPD, in some instances that their tears are healing the world, or, are you saying you've grown since then, and are you part of the coming together? Do you need to change your message or say something different? And if so, what is that message for people about how you will support law enforcement, how you will feel towards your police officers in the country, but also when you're done with that, you can tell us.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. To be the mayor of this city is to work closely with law enforcement to deliver that public safety. And the experience that I've had in running for mayor has been a privilege in getting to know more and more rank and file members of the department and understanding just how difficult we have made their job. And as I visited Officer Islam's home this morning and met with another officer who told me of how she has sadly had to console other families of police officers in the past, it is clear to me, as it is clear to so many New Yorkers, of the immense risk that so many take upon when they do this work. And what I will be as the mayor is someone who recognizes the work that these officers do, who looks to ensure that they can actually deliver on that same work that brought them to this department, and who is focused on the outcome of public safety. Because what has happened far too often is a distilling of that which either provides or denies New Yorkers safety into a political discourse, where we spend far more of our time trying to score these kinds of points than in asking ourselves, how can we ensure that New Yorkers are safe? And while we have made strides in that safety, clearly we are still home to a site of a senseless mass shooting. And so there is much work for us to do here in New York City, but there's also so much work to be done at a national level. And that is why, again, I appreciate Governor Hochul taking this moment to point not only New Yorkers but Americans towards a way in which we can ensure that history does not repeat itself.
Can I follow up
Please.
briefly? Since I don't hear you saying, you're not retracting what you said in the past, you're not saying I no longer feel that police are racist or question, these tweets are going to keep resurfacing by your rivals. How will you avoid, as a candidate, this subject coming up again and again if you're not sort of addressing those words and kind of putting them into a real context?
Andrew Cuomo wishes he was running against me in the past. He wishes that he was still living in the past, where he was the governor of this state. The sad reality for him is that he is running against me now in 2025. And despite his attempt at running an entire primary campaign based upon finding every tweet that he can that is in direct contradiction to the policies and the politics that I am running on, New Yorkers were able to see through that and elect me as the Democratic nominee with the most votes in the history of New York City mayoral primaries. And so if he wants to continue to try and litigate a race based upon tweets that are clearly out of step with the vision that I have, with the statements that I have put forward, then he is free to do so, because what he will find is that New Yorkers are more focused on the now and the vision that we have for the future than they are on an attempt to litigate this city through a medium of tweets.
Did you want to say anything about your wedding celebration? How you spent the last couple of weeks away?
It was a pleasure and a privilege to celebrate my wife Rama and my marriage in the city that I was born, Kampala, Uganda, with family and friends that have raised me, to reunite even with the doctor who delivered me 33 years ago in Nsambia Hospital, and to take a moment to appreciate all those around us who make us who we are, and to know that there may not be those same moments in the future. And this is one precious time that we had. And it was a pleasure to be there, and it is a pleasure to be home in New York City.
Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. So that's Zoran Mamdani, who's running to be the mayor of New York City, wants to take Eric Adams' job. You could see the zings coming against Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, who he beat in the primary, but now Andrew Cuomo is running as an independent in the next election. Oh, New York City politics, always interesting there, but this started with him speaking about that tragedy, the fatal shooting in the high-rise where the NFL headquarters were when a gunman went in, killed multiple people, including an off-duty New York City police officer. And then you could see the questions kind of going into campaign mode here. So we'll still watch this. I do have to take a quick break here on the Live Desk, but I'm just going to give you a round robin of the other things we're watching. The Fed chair's at the microphone right now. That's Jerome Powell. Really interesting news on the stock market as reporters are now asking him questions. He kept Fed rates the same, not him, the whole Fed did. That is not what the Trump administration wanted. They wanted rates cut. That didn't happen, so we'll see how Wall Street's reacting. We've got a NTSB, the Transportation Board, Safety Board, they're meeting in D.C., and you can see, look at all the brass that are inside of this NTSB meeting. So many issues with our nation's air traffic control system, what's happening in the skies, what's happening on the ground, trains, planes, and automobiles. Really important meeting that's happening right now. All of this is happening here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, where you see everything happen live. When news breaks, we're going to bring it to you. As you can see, that press conference is continuing. So I'll take a quick break. About 15 minutes, we're going to hear from Habitat for Humanity. Pretty cool milestone that they have reached here locally. So stay with us. A lot going on today.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
What up, news nerds? Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. We've hit Wednesday. We're getting close to 2 o'clock. We've already passed an hour. Nicola did a great job on the first hour of the Live Desk. There was so much going on. It is a rainy day out there. Live look at the radar. We have needed a rainy day like this. My lawn was getting a little crispy out there in the backyard. Good day to not have to do any yard work, too, because, you know, how are you supposed to do yard work when it looks like this outside? I don't know if you could tell, but if you look deep into your screen there, that's American Family Field. Thank goodness we have a roof, because there's a sold-out crowd for today's baseball game between the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers, as the Brew Crew's going for a sweep. They started the series tied with the Cubs in the division. The Brewers have won the first 2 games. They're in the second inning. They're playing a day game out there in American Family Field. It is 1-1 as I look down at the scoreboard. And, yeah, this is why we're already better than the Cubs. Because if this game was played in Chicago, there wouldn't be a game today. And all the people who bought tickets would be upset and sad. But we're Milwaukee, and we put a roof on our stadium because we're geniuses. So roof is closed, obviously. Rain is coming down. It's just really nasty out there on the roads, as you're seeing a look at 45 and Silver Spring. Out there to the west of Milwaukee, slow going through the construction. That seems never ending, but the rain's slowing us down a little bit today as well. So we'll continue to watch this. Hey, I want to get you to a really interesting press conference. That's Jerome Powell. That is the Fed chair, and he is now taking questions from the media, talking about the state of the economy as the Fed holds rates steady. They don't raise them, they don't lower them. That's not what the Trump administration wanted. So let's listen in to the Q&A happening out there.
But it shouldn't be significant over the next couple of years.
And to follow up, what do you, well, I don't want to put this in terms of you and the president, so let me ask it this way. Do you have concerns about the cost to the government of keeping rates elevated for longer in terms of interest rate charges?
Yeah, no, that's, we have a mandate, and that's maximum employment and price stability. And it is, it's not something we do to consider the cost to the government of our rate changes. We have to be able to look at the goal variables Congress has given us, use the tools they've given us to achieve those goals, and that's what we do. We don't consider the fiscal needs of the federal government. No advanced economy central bank does that, and it wouldn't be good for, if we did do that, it would be good neither for our credibility nor for the credibility of U.S. fiscal policy. So it's just not something we take into consideration.
Hi, Victoria Guido with Politico. When it comes to the renovations of the Federal Reserve's headquarters that the administration has been looking into, do you see their interest in that issue as being directly tied to the president's push to get you to lower interest rates?
Not for me to say. I will say we had a nice visit with the president. It was an honor to host him. It's not something that happens very often at the Federal Reserve to have the president come over, let alone to visit a building. But it was a good visit.
Are there any aspects of the project that they've raised that you see as making you reconsider any aspects of the project?
So, this project was hatched and conceived almost a decade ago now, and we went through the very long process of clearing it through historic preservation at the National Capital Planning Commission, and a lot of back and forth there. It was very constructive. We started out to do the work, and we're very well along on that work, and I was quite pleased to have the president say multiple times that what he really wanted to see was us getting this construction completed as soon as possible. That is our focus, and that's what we're going to do.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Andrew Ackerman with the Washington Post. What message do you take from the fact that inflation hit 2.1% last September and has bounced higher since? Why do you think financial conditions are restrictive and a neutral rate's below 4% when inflation has stopped falling for almost a year?
So inflation, when you talk about these 12-month inflation measures, you're always battling residual seasonality. So we'll have, for example, 2 months of high inflation sometimes early in the year, and then inflation turns lower, and a lot of that may just be an artifact. So that's why we look at the 12-month numbers. I think inflation is most of the way back to 2%. There are things like the catch-up inflation. So, for example, all the insurance costs that they're only now going through inflation, but they actually reflect inflationary pressures from 2-3 years ago. So that's got to go through. In addition, now we have 3 or 4 tenths of inflation in core inflation from tariffs. So, and we can't really separate that out. We're not going to have a separate kind of inflation that isn't the tariffs. We're always going to be dealing with all of inflation. But the composition, as I mentioned, has really changed. And if you go back to the last couple of years, it was all about services inflation, which was being very sticky. Now services inflation is coming down nicely. Goods inflation was well behaved before, and now goods inflation is going up. So the story has really changed. That's partially because of tariffs. It's also partially because we had restrictive policy in place, and we've seen that the result of that gradually work its way through the services economy.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask is, are you comfortable that BLS can continue performing their mission effectively if they take an 8% reduction in headcount and authorized spending as the administration has proposed?
I'm not going to comment on the administration's proposal. I do think, as I've said, I think that we're getting the data that we need to do our jobs, and I think it's really important that good data helps not just the Fed, it helps the government, but it also helps the private sector. You know, people in the economy, they use this data a lot too, so it's quite important for our economy and certainly for the Fed's work and other government agencies' work that we continue to get better at data. That's what we've been doing for 100 years. We've been getting better and better and better. It's very hard to accurately capture in real time the output of a $20+ trillion economy. And the United States has been a leader in that for 100 years, and we really need to continue that, in my view.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lawrence from Fox Business. How concerned are you with the data that we're coming in, showing no significant upward trend in inflation over the past 6 months, that the wait-and-see approach for inflation is actually giving companies cover to raise prices?
How concerned am I that say that again?
The wait-and-see approach is giving...
The wait-and-see approach, what do you mean by that?
For cutting rates. You're waiting to see if the tariffs will affect inflation. So it's a wait-and-see approach.
Well, so that's where policy's restrictive. When we start cutting, it'll go toward neutral.
Okay. This delay, though, where you're saying there's a one-time price increase for tariffs, which possibly could lead into bigger inflation or more inflation. Is that giving companies cover, though, to raise prices?
Well, what may be giving, it's not our policy stance, what may be giving some companies will certainly be taking advantage of the fact of the tariffs and all of the discussion of how they're going to, companies will raise prices when and as they can. And you saw it famously in the first administration of President Trump during those tariffs. Washing machines were tariffed, but dryers weren't. But what do you know? The price of dryers went up too, just like washing machines. So companies will often they'll cross the street in a group, if you know what I mean. That'll happen. We don't see a lot of that. I mean, what we see now is basically the very beginnings of whatever the effects turn out to be on goods inflation. And I'll say again, they may be less than people estimate or more than people estimate. They're not going to be zero. Consumers will pay some of this. Businesses will pay some of this. Retailers will pay some of this. But we're just going to have to see it through.
And just to follow, if I could, some additional tariffs have been in place since February, and things really haven't broken yet with the economy. So how do you justify to somebody who's looking for a house, who's facing a 7% mortgage and maybe can't afford those rates? How do you justify that?
Well, so the housing is a special case, right? We don't set mortgage rates at the Fed, right? We set an overnight rate, and the rates that go into mortgages are longer-term rates, like Treasury rates. It might be 30-year rates. It might be shorter than that, but it's not the overnight Fed's rate. It's not that we don't have any effect. We do have an effect, but we're not the main effect. There are other things going on in the housing sector, and one of those is just there's kind of a long-term housing shortage that we have. We haven't built enough housing. This is not something the Fed can help with, and that'll be the case even after things normalize. So I think the best thing that we can do for housing is to have 2% inflation and maximum employment, and that's what we can contribute to housing. There are lots of other jobs to do for the private sector and Congress, but that's what we're trying to get to. We've made a lot of progress toward that. We have a very good labor market right now. Inflation, we were very close to 2%. We're seeing some goods inflation move us away, but so far not very far away.
Ben Handelman here from the Wisconsin Live Desk. All right, that's Jerome Powell. He is the Fed chair. When he speaks, the stock market reacts. So let's look at the stock market right now. And can you tell possibly when Jerome Powell took to the microphone today? You can see stockbrokers on Wall Street, they were expecting or anticipating, at least looking like they're hoping for a rate cut from the Fed today, and that hasn't happened. The Fed has kept the rates the same as Jerome Powell in this press briefing that he's talking about right now, saying tariffs, they're starting to show up for consumers, meaning the retailers, they're bearing the brunt of the tariffs according to what Jerome Powell just said, and that the retailers are now starting to pass some of those costs on to the consumers, you and I, when we go and buy things, and they're starting to see some higher prices, and the stock market not happy with hearing that news, even though I'm sure they knew some of that. They're in a nosedive right now. I mean, they were in the green. Now it's down 0.5%, down 200 points. That's the Dow Jones right there. So interesting news from Jerome Powell. Anytime he speaks, we look straight to this big board at your 401k and see how it is affecting it, and it's in the red right now today. So we'll keep watching that meeting here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm just going to quickly show you some of the other things that we're watching. There's that big NTSB meeting that's happening in Washington. Look at all the brass there, all the military leaders, as they are putting their heads together and talking about the safety of both in the skies and actually any way you really travel, and the safety of our country. So we're watching that here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. And in just a couple of minutes here, we're going to bring it back home because a really cool milestone was reached from Habitat for Humanity in Milwaukee. They have been building a ton of homes, and really wait until you hear what they've just done. That's next here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
What up, news nerds? Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. All right, we've passed 2 o'clock here on your Wednesday. Hey, this is the show where we've got all these live feeds. If it's happening live, we're going to bring it to you. So you just heard from the Fed chair, who's still at the microphone talking. We were in New York City a short time ago. And obviously, we're watching what's happening here in Wisconsin. It's a rainy day out there. We're actually supposed to be at the State Fair. We actually canceled media availability because it's too rainy. They're like, we'll have plenty of time to talk during the State Fair. That kicks off tomorrow, and guess what? The weather is going to be picture perfect, which I have been to many opening day state fairs, and usually it looks like what's happening south of Chicago. It'll be stormy and rainy, or it'll be 100 degrees. Tomorrow it's supposed to be 75 degrees and just perfect and beautiful. So we can't wait for the State Fair as we continue to watch that. But I'm really excited to bring in our next guest because Habitat for Humanity, they do amazing things in our community, and they have just hit an incredible milestone. And I want to bring in Brian Soderman, the CEO from Habitat for Humanity here in Milwaukee, to tell us about the milestone that has been reached. Brian, thanks for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. We're celebrating our longest term corporate partnership, this partnership between Milwaukee Habitat and Sargento Foods. Sargento, a great Wisconsin cheese company, has partnered with Milwaukee Habitat since 1992. They were our first corporate sponsor, and we did a family reunion where we celebrated their 40th and 41st home that they have sponsored here in Milwaukee.
41 homes, 41 lives changed forever because of the work that they obviously have helped with, not only manpower, but the money they're providing to help build these homes. I've got some pictures here, and what I love about this, right here, that is the CEO of Sargento, correct?
Absolutely. That's Louis Gentine, third generation CEO, owner of Sargento Foods. And this is not his first rodeo, so to speak. He has been out to the build site many, many times. In fact, the first home that Sargento sponsored back in 1992, a homeowner by the name of Tandra and her son moved into that home in 1992. And Louis was a high school student at the time, and he came out and helped build that house. So it was really cool to have Tandra come and be a part of our celebration. Now, 33 years later, she's still in that home and testifying to the impact it's had. And then to be able to, see Louis and thank him and thank the rest of the Sargento family for this amazing partnership.
It's just so cool to see him like roll up the sleeves and get out there and help. I know the Bucks were out there as well, another great corporate sponsor you have. But, I mean, we're talking 41 homes. These are families who likely may have never gotten inside of a house. And it's just incredible that one company has really helped build all of those homes.
Really is. And Sargento is based in Plymouth, so, about an hour or so drive, which is an amazing thing. They're not actually in this immediate market. And so every day volunteers make that drive to help build in the city of Milwaukee. And 27,000 plus volunteer hours since 1992, $2.8 million donated to help build these homes, and another 200 and some thousand through the Tip Off for Homes program with the Milwaukee Bucks. It's just, those numbers are astounding. But I think the special thing about Sargento, and I think it's because of that family ownership, that they really take a strong interest in each family, in getting to know the family, in celebrating their accomplishment in becoming a homeowner. And that's a really special thing beyond the incredible numbers of dollars and volunteer hours. It really demonstrates, I think, the values of the company itself.
And Brian, you were saying that this event, you called it a family reunion. I thought what was so cool is that a lot of those families who have been in homes through Habitat, they came back to celebrate this big milestone.
Yeah, we put it out to the families. It was in the middle of the day. So, people have busy lives, they have work and everything. We had about a dozen families that were able to come by the build site. And I mentioned Tandra, first homeowner with Sargento, 1992, to Teresa, who's actually helping build her home last week and right alongside Sargento volunteers, and will be looking to move into her home in spring of next year. And then we had homeowners, of every era. I think one of the, I think on the screen there you see Teresa, who's one of our newest homeowners. We had homeowners who just wanted to stop by, sometimes now with adult children, children who grew up in these homes, and being able to just say thank you. So that was pretty special.
It's interesting. They were just talking. We just had Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, was just here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. You should hear that interview. And we just did a story yesterday about home assessment prices in Wauwatosa going up 54%. Are we in a home crisis right now? Just the cost to try and get into a home, even your starter home, has gone through the roof, especially in the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the last 10 years, home prices have doubled in the state of Wisconsin. So we're very clearly in a home ownership crisis, and certainly that's hit those that are lower income more so, but every sector of the economy is impacted by this. And so as I talk to people in business leaders, I talk to politicians, everybody seems to understand that housing is a major crisis right now, because they're seeing it with their children, their grandchildren, their workers can't afford to get into a home that can fit their family size and be able to live in a community near where they work. And so, I heard the Fed chairman, talking about, interest rates are a component. One of the things that we do at Habitat is really work hard to work with lenders to provide below market interest rate loans that are that a person who's just sort of starting out can afford. But there's not enough of those out there, and there's just not enough building going on.
Yeah,
Milwaukee Habitat's the largest builder in Milwaukee County. We need more builders in Milwaukee County to serve the needs of the million plus people who live here.
I mean, you're just talking about the interest rate there. It's at over 7 in a lot of spots. I'm just thinking, I got into my house 5 years ago at less than 3. And it's almost like, well, I can never sell my house because how will I afford the house? But for people who are scraping by and just really trying to save every dollar, it takes so much more, it seems, to just put down that down payment that's needed to try and get into these homes. You would hope that your work, you wouldn't need as much, there wouldn't be as many clients for Habitat for Humanity. It seems like there are more people that need help now than ever.
Yeah, we're seeing, I've been with the organization now, CEO, for 15 years. And so I've seen some ups and downs in the housing market. But one thing that I can say is that the demand and interest in our program right now is at its highest level in 15 years.
Wow.
People, we are inundated with applications and interest in our program. And obviously we have a limited number of families that we can serve each year. We're building 34 new homes this year. We're planning to build 40 next year. That makes us one of the largest habitats in the country, but it nowhere near meets the interest and demand from the Milwaukee community. And these are folks that are just hardworking families. They're the people that work in the medical field as CNAs and dental assistants and medical assistants, and they work in light manufacturing. They work in our school systems. They're school teachers and aides. So they're sort of the backbone of our society. They help make our community run and operate, and they take care of our kids and our elders. And so these are the folks we can't afford to lose because they can't find affordable housing. And so that's why Habitat's work is so important. That's why the work of Sargento is so important, and why I think Sargento is so committed to Habitat as an organization is they know they need a strong workforce. They know that if they're going to thrive in terms of the work that they do, that they need people that they can employ and people that can afford to live in the communities where those jobs are.
And I'm sure the most gratifying part of your job is you get to hear the stories of how their lives are changed once they get some stability and a roof over their head and a mortgage they know they can pay. And in a brand new house. How does it change people's lives? What do people tell you?
Well, it is one of the most gratifying parts. So one of the things that we do is we have a dedication that when a homeowner moves in and we hand the keys over, and there's always tears because, I'll often ask homeowners, why did you do this? Because they invest hundreds of hours of sweat equity helping to build their own home. Most of their PTO for the year, most of their Saturdays are taken up building their home, preparing for home ownership. So it's a big sacrifice. And without a doubt, what they will say is, it's not for me, it's for my children. It's so often they've made this sacrifice so that they can provide stability for their children to grow up in a home that their parents own, so that they're not moving from rental to rental because the rent keeps going up. And so that stability is something that those parents are looking for their children because they know how important it is. And then, when we begin to celebrate with families when they pay off their mortgage 20, 30 years later, the stories I hear then are, we were able to raise our kids in this home. They graduated from high school. They've now gone on to college. Some of them are now homeowners. Some of them have gone on to get PhDs. the impact of home ownership on the next generation is incredibly powerful. We have the statistics that bear it out. We see it and hear it in the stories of our homeowners over time. And that's one of the benefits of being in an organization now that's been doing this for 41 years in our community is we know our families well. We know their stories. We know the impact it has on the educational performance, the health outcomes, the wealth creation. And it's really, really powerful. And it's one of the best parts of my job is to be able to talk to our homeowners, hear their stories, and for our staff and volunteers, because that fuels us to get out there and do more.
You talked about this a little bit, but talk about what's coming in the year ahead, because as you just mentioned, you still are setting big goals for your organization.
Yeah, so we set out about 3.5 years ago to double in size over 5 years. And we're actually, thankfully, through the support of the community, both from dollars and volunteers, we're ahead of schedule. So next year, we thought maybe by 2028 we'd be able to build 40 homes. Well, we're going to do that next year. That's our plan right now. We've worked with the city of Milwaukee to identify the lots, and we've acquired those. And we have homeowners in queue. And so we're really excited to be able to serve those 40 families to start building those homes in early spring. And in addition, we are going to do more critical home repairs than we've ever done as an organization, well over 120 critical home repairs next year. So that's a lot of families to serve. We'll need lots of volunteers. And so if folks who are listening to this have ever said, you know what, I would like to maybe try volunteering with Habitat, we welcome you. Don't have to bring any skills. We'll teach you what you need to do that day, and just invite you out to the build site, because I can tell you without a doubt it will transform your life.
I'm exhausted listening to everything you're planning to do in the next year, and I haven't even lifted a hammer or anything. Habitat's near and dear to my heart. About right when I graduated college many, many years ago, I did a charity ride from New Haven, Connecticut to San Francisco, raising money for Habitat and joining different Habitat builds all along the route. And it changed my life, just that whole summer of...
Well, that makes me tired, just thinking about that ride. So.
Well, what if I told you I don't even own a bicycle right now? Like that, the amount of biking I did that summer was good enough for me, I think, for the rest of my life.
A whole lifetime.
I'm trying to get back in the bike game, but yeah. So yeah, Habitat, you guys do great work. It's just really impressive. 40 and 41 homes now, just through Sargento partnership. Not even talking about all the other partnerships that you guys have. Great work. Appreciate you coming on the Wisconsin Live Desk, Brian.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. Take care.
Wow. Yeah, good interview there. Good stuff. Appreciate him coming on. I didn't realize they were the biggest home builder in Milwaukee County. Just let that sink in for a little bit here, as it fit right in perfectly with what we were talking about with the crisis of, you could hear some of the reporters asking the Fed chair about that right before Brian came on. So thanks for him coming on. Okay, stay with us. There's a lot still going on. I got new feeds popping up by the minute here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
What up, peeps? Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. All right, it's 2:19, 68 degrees. Man, have things cooled off today as we have the rain out there. Live picture from our radar as the rain is moving on through. It has been, we need this rain. We haven't had like a good soaking rain, and we haven't had any of the storms that they're getting that are right now in northwest Indiana as it's passing through kind of south of Chicago there. Here's a live look at our roads. That's Rawson Avenue on the south side on I-94. So the rain continues to fall. It will start wrapping up here. It's been slow and steady. I grilled this afternoon in the rain, and then I didn't put my grill cover back on because it was soaked. And I'm like, the grill's already covered anyway. I might as well just leave it. I don't know if that's the smart thing to do. I've just got a new feed in here. This is pretty cool. Look who it is. It's our good friends, the Blue Angels. Live picture. This is, I'm going to bring our producer, Delaney, in here. Delaney, this is coming from Seattle, correct?
Yes.
So, the Blue Angels, they were just in town in Milwaukee. They've now flown across the country, and they're getting ready to put on a performance out there for the big show in Seattle. Now, I don't know if it said Boeing on the plane when it was here, but obviously Boeing's based in Washington. And so it would make sense that they have a big air show out there on the West Coast. You could see, I wonder if that's a media member in the back. Because sometimes they do these media flights, and that guy looks like he's terrified and having fun at the same time. So, well, I could see that as a member of the media. Delaney, doesn't that guy look like less like a U.S. Navy fighter pilot and more like one of our, especially because the camera's right there?
Yeah, I think he's a media member.
I think he's a media member. So every time the Blue Angels does a show, they will take one member of the media per the market up into the sky. Delaney, can I admit something to you? When they came here for the Milwaukee Air and Water show, I was offered the chance to ride with the Blue Angels.
Were you really?
Yes. And guess what I told them? No chance in, well, I won't say the word next. And the reason is because recently I was on the swings with my daughter, and I was just swinging back and forth, and I got motion sickness just from swinging back and forth. And I have seen what they do to media members. Oftentimes, members of the media will pass out from the G's. So they go over 7 G's, the Navy Blue Angel fighter pilots there when they take you up, when they do their barrel rolls, and they take it to the limit. So I thought, I don't really need to do that. But that guy looked like he had fun, and he's smiling, and I don't see them carrying off any puke buckets out there in Seattle, so that's good news for him. Aaron Maben actually went up with Fat Albert. That is the support plane, the big, I think it's a C-130. And he said they did a couple of times where they got weightlessness, like they went, put the nose up, put the nose down, and you kind of feel like you're floating. And he didn't feel so good after that. And that wasn't even in a big fighter plane, so pretty cool stuff out there in Seattle. Hey, I got to take another quick break here, but we do have some more feeds. Speaking of flying, FAA, NTSB, they're having a big meeting in Washington, so we can bring that to you next. You are watching the Wisconsin Live Desk exclusively on Fox Local.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey everybody, Ben Handelman. We're in the final few minutes here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Couple shots for you. Got the Blue Angels. That media member, I think he was talking about I was trying to read his lips. He was talking about like tunnel vision, I think, that he had. Look how excited he is, like he survived something. That's the guy who just slapped high five, and now I think he's walking by those kids. I think that's a member of the media. Just took a flight with the Navy Blue Angels, who are out in Seattle. Also, a lot closer to home, the weather's an issue out here. You can't even see American Family Field. Hey, the Cubbies are in town, sold out crowd for the third day in a row. The Brewers, they're looking for a sweep. They're losing though. It's 5-2 right now. What inning? Fifth inning. Plenty of time for the Brewers to make their third comeback in a row. They've already won the series. The Brewers won the first 2 games, so we're watching that as well. A lot different story from this view. Honolulu, Hawaii, where they were dealing with a tsunami warning yesterday. There were evacuations. The good news, it seems the worst of the worst did not occur, and everything was downgraded. There was a tsunami wave, but it was very minimal effects, especially after that massive earthquake off the coast of Russia, one of the top 10 biggest earthquakes ever recorded. So there were warnings and all sorts of people getting the higher ground, but all the concerns going away there in Hawaii. We only have a few more minutes left. I got to get one more break in, so stay with us here on the
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Well, would you look at the time, everybody? That's about going to do it here for us on the Wisconsin Live Desk. The power of you being here on Fox Local and watching this digitally. Any stories you just saw in the last couple of hours that you're interested in, you can find that story right here on your Fox Local app. We hope that the Brewers could pull off this sweep of the Cubs, unless you're a Cubs fan. My wife's a Cubs fan, so she's hoping that doesn't happen. The rain's going to get out of here. All the weather. You got weather questions? We got you covered on the app as well. You can click in to the stories here. And that's what's great about watching this if you're on your phone. If you're on the TV, some of those features are there as well. Hey, same place, same time. You want to come back? Let's do it again. We got First and North next. I'd like to speak to the manager. We'll see you on the newscast tonight. Thanks for joining us on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Lou Canellis. Joining me this week on First and North. Let's bring in the crew. From Fox Detroit, Jennifer Hammond. From Fox Milwaukee, Tim Van Buren. And from Fox Minneapolis, Pierre Nugent is back. Good to see you, Pierre. It's been a few weeks. Football will be played this
Good to be
week,
back.
Thursday in Canton, Ohio, between the Chargers and Lions. All right, I want to start with Detroit. Jennifer, I know practice has been really intense. Multiple reports of players kicked out and stopping practices. What are we going to expect on Thursday night? Are they going to bring it in a preseason game?
You know, I don't know that they will because there are not going to be very many starters out there. But the interesting thing about these Detroit Lions practices that we've seen thus far is, you know, Dan Campbell will stop and tell guys that they're going a little too hard. This was prior to putting on the pads, maybe some really hard hits from Brian Branch and a couple of the other DBs fighting hard to obviously prove themselves in camp, especially under Calvin Shepard, who's a really fiery kind of guy. But deep down, I think Dan Campbell absolutely loves this. I mean, short of the risk of injury, he wants to protect his guys, make no mistake about that. But I think he loves to see these guys getting chippy, going at it. They are personifying the grit that he's preaching. And it's not just on defense, it's on offense as well. There's trash talking. There's guys, you know, showing each other up in practice. And it is going to be the kind of season where iron sharpens iron, as they say in practice. And I think they're going to get more out of these preseason or these practices and training camp scrimmages than they may even out of a preseason game against the Chargers on Thursday night down in Canton.
Speaking of guys on offense, Amon-Ra St. Brown addressed the chippiness in practice.
I feel like every year it's chippy. I think that's just the kind of the Detroit way. When you compete like this and coach lets you compete and you're going live and you're doing all this stuff, when you got competitors like us, I think sometimes that chippiness just comes out. But it's all love at the end of the day. We all know we're trying to reach that end goal. We're teammates. But I think it's just training camp. You know, once the season starts, I mean, you're giving each other looks. You're trying to make each other better, prepare each other for the game. So just training camp, that's how it goes, just us competing.
All right, I want to bring in Tim Van Voren, who's been in Green Bay. Tim, I read that Nate Hobbs was told to dial things back a little bit. Little healthy competition never hurt anyone, right?
Absolutely right. Nate Hobbs got the business from Matt LaFleur, and then even more on Tuesday with the pads out there. Several players getting in it. Rasheed Walker, the offensive lineman, was forced to take a disciplinary lap afterwards, and then he was joined by some of his offensive mates because they were getting into it a little too much for Matt LaFleur's liking. And like Jennifer in Detroit, I think Matt LaFleur is saying, tisk, tisk, what are you going to do about it? You know, I think it's one of those coaching deals this time of year. Matt LaFleur's got a little salt in his vocabulary anyway, but he was digging pretty deep, laying into his guys, kind of setting the tone for getting everybody going here. They have their family night scrimmage coming up at the end of the week. That's what's going on with the Packers schedule, and there's a little dysfunction in the family right now. Everybody's sniping at each other.
We haven't seen any chippiness yet with Ben Johnson, but I'll get to the Bears in a second. Pierre, let me bring you in. Pierre Nugent in Minneapolis. Justin Jefferson, hamstring strain last Friday. Anything we should be worried about?
As of right now, Lou, no, you shouldn't really have to worry about much, and that's according to the Vikings head coach, Kevin O'Connell. He was the one that came out and said the hamstring strain is, quote, mild. It's not something that they're particularly worried about, and furthermore, it's not something that they're worried about in terms of him being out in week one. The expectation is to ramp him back up as training camp continues to roll on. He's scheduled to be reevaluated this week. We haven't seen him back out on the practice field just yet, but this is not something that they're terribly concerned about. A couple of years ago, we saw Justin Jefferson miss a number of games with a right hamstring strain, and it was eventually found out that it was a slight tear. This week, it's a left hamstring strain, but again, like I said, it's a little bit more on the mild side, and they're not all that worried about him being ramped up and ready to go when week one rolls around.
Jefferson also preached patience with quarterback J.J. McCarthy.
You definitely have to have patience. You know, he's pretty much a rookie. You know, last year pretty much doesn't count for him. So he's still new to the scheme, new to coming out here and throwing it to these different receivers. So yes, you have to have that patience. You know, you're not really expected to him to have the same mindset as a veteran. You know, you can't really have that expectation from him. But we do have an expectation of him being great, him coming out here every single day and working his butt off and progressing every single day. And we do see that progression just on the second day of camp.
All right, Pierre, 6 camps in, 6 practices at camp. Excuse me, how's McCarthy look so far?
Well, I think, Lou, it depends on who you ask. If you ask certain members of Bears fans on social media that like to point out video from last year, he's the worst quarterback in the entire world. But if you ask me and some of the others that have been out there at training camp this year, he looks comfortable. That's the word I'm going to use, comfortable. And that's one of the things that was a positive about him missing all of last year is he was in the film room every single day. He was on the hip of Kevin O'Connell every single day, learning this offense, figuring things out. And I think that year really gave him a little bit of breathing room in terms of understanding this offense. And even though the Vikings defense out at training camp, I would say is a step ahead of the Vikings offense currently, it doesn't seem to bother J.J. McCarthy. We've seen him hit a couple of deep shots. He's making good throws, seems to be patient in the pocket as well, even though he has been sacked a couple of times during training camp. But comfortable is the word I'm going to use with J.J. McCarthy. I think everybody likes his progression and where he's at right now. We'll see if it translates into game action when the preseason rolls around.
Don't go after us, Bears fans. We like to look at video from last year and judge JJ this year. Here in Chicago, offense struggled the first few days of camp. It was really not good. Wait till you hear what ESPN's Dan Orlovsky said about Caleb's timeline in Ben Johnson's offense.
Being elite while you're playing within the rhythm of the pass game. And that's the hiccup that has always been Caleb's back at OU, then to USC, and then to his rookie year. And